This is Sue Greenwald with Awakened Stories. I'm here today with Deanna Carr from the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I thought we'd do some Q&A. We're getting some questions on our recent videos that we've been doing. So
Okay.
we're just going to do some random topics. The first is we did a video on the two moons. So we got some moon questions. All right.
Okay.
So one person writes, not understanding the phases of the moon with respect to the fake sun. So as we talked, there was a real moon that was basically, we'll call it dead or
Yes.
super dormant. And then there's a artificial moon that is not a moon, it is a basically a ship or an arc, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So how do we get the phases of the moon?
So it's actually illuminated. So think about this. When it's a sunny day outside
Yeah.
and you look up and you see the moon and it's a crescent, that doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense because they tell us that the phases is caused by the sun's reflection on the moon. So if the moon is out at the same time as the sun, it should automatically go to full moon, correct?
Right.
Because
Okay.
the sun is out, it's getting direct sunlight, there's nothing in its way, but you'll still see a crescent, meaning that it's self-illuminating.
Mm. Okay. So what moon are we talking about? The real or or I don't know how we want to call them.
Let's call it an arc.
Okay. The
Sorry.
real or the arc. So the arc is self-illuminating, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. And so it's programmed to make these shapes and go through the cycle. Is that what you're talking about?
Correct.
All right. And that's inside the energetic dome.
Correct.
Okay. Kind of rotating on, we're going to call it a flat spin. So basically, parallel to the earth, if you will.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how do they illuminate it? Do they have technology of some sort, right?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, it's pretty simplistic when you have the correct technology.
Yeah.
Um, Most of it is from an internal light source.
Okay.
Um, they do, I mean, there is glow paint that they can use too to have the same type of effect, but they use more of like a LED lighting source that is under certain structures, so it has that same texturized look that it is of a moon.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, the person that asked this question said he's recently seen the crescent moon go like sideways. So you know how we see the crescent moon, it's
Mhm.
kind of changed its shape, it slipped a little bit. What would you think that would be? Like the lighting is just
The lighting is starting to fail, but also the mechanics of the arc are starting to fail. Now, when the arc was created, it was supposed to hold out for a very long time, but it's starting to fail earlier than expected. One, because they are not putting the correct resources into it. It's more of a space for them to do things they're not supposed to. So it's going under direct misuse.
okay.
So it's not being maintained properly
Okay.
and it's old. So it's not to the correct times where it could withstand better,
Right.
I don't know, everything. It would just be better. But we don't want it to withstand anything. So it's a good thing it's starting to break because now it's allowing you to understand that it's not here for the correct purposes. Because everything they're telling us, it's doing the opposite. Just like I said about the illumination, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense for what they tell us. So,
Right.
how do we know they're right? So, it's making people start to second guess. I mean, I've had days where my daughter's like, "Hey, mom, look the moon. It's the middle of the day
Yeah.
and you can see the crescent." My daughter's noticing it.
Yeah.
So it means that people are starting to notice that there are issues within it. It's not what they tell us. And so that means two things, that they're not always right. And two, that's not what it is.
Right. Well, that is exactly what I wanted to say, is it's probably time for it to be exposed for what it is.
Mhm.
It's not a real, like we've been taught a lie, another lie, right? That it's
Mhm.
not there the way they say it has been. And it's going to be basically breaking down, if you will, to show us that because the
Yeah.
time is now, right?
Yes.
Right. So, how old is this ark?
It's about 500 years old.
That's
It's
it?
not super, yeah, it's not super old. There was a previous one to it.
Okay.
So the one previous to it was a lot older. So
Okay.
that was the trial run. How does it move? How does it manipulate? They saw issues with it. They thought that they fixed. They saw ways that they could make it better. So the one in that we have right now is actually the second model.
Whoa.
So the first one did end up breaking down, and they did take it down because it just wasn't doing what it was supposed to and was leading to more questions. And at that time, they saw fit to just switch it out. Now, why aren't they doing it now? Because they can't do it. And the reason I'm saying that is because they have so many eyes on them. They have people with video cameras, they have people that can capture it, they have people that can send it around. And once that gets out, it will go viral. Once it goes viral, there's no containing it.
Right.
And then once that happens, it's going to turn into a bigger issue for them.
Right.
So in their eyes, they're doing small things to try and fix it versus replace it.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. So this is the second model. I didn't know that. All right. So only about 500 years. So that means it was placed here after the Great Reset, then, the most
Yes.
recent reset. So how did it just kind of appear and people like didn't notice, if you will?
Oh, people noticed,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're not going to have people writing about it. I mean, I haven't seen any journaling about it.
No.
And then if people did, it was easier to maintain. They just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like I said, it's a lot harder for them to get rid of it because there's video evidence.
Right.
People can spread it like nobody's business. It's
Right.
easier to share that type of information
Okay.
versus back then.
Okay.
So people did notice it was they did it as subtly as possible, but there's still going to be a huge shift. I mean, you have
Yeah.
the moon in itself is a lot larger, it looks a lot closer, whereas this fake moon is a lot further away. So how do we do that shift where people don't notice? I mean, you can't really do that. So people did notice.
Interesting. Okay, so what's the purpose of this arc moon? Like, why would they have put it there in the first place? Like, what's it used for primarily?
Well, it's mostly for the dome. So imagine you're in a sphere. There's no light, there's no dark. It's just, well, actually, I guess it would be dark. Oh my gosh, what am I saying? It would be dark. And there's no light. Um, but you're in the sphere and you know you're being contained. What would that do to somebody's mindset? You would feel caged, you would feel controlled, you would feel unfree, you would feel all these negative emotions because you know that you're being not held accountable, you're being held captive, you
Captive.
are being controlled, you are being tricked. So, by applying these fake resources, one, they're using the arc as a way to hold people to use them as they see fit, but they're also using it as a way to keep us in this mindset that we're still free. This is still the earth. We still have the sky. We still have air. We have a sun.
Right.
So they're keeping this mindset and this idea, this really good play that's happening that we are free. We still have all of these energies and entities around us, but in reality, it's being controlled. But we don't really know that because they did a good job of hiding it and
Right.
playing into people's ideas of, well, why does it do this? I have an answer for it. When somebody responds with a quick answer and a direct answer, you are more likely to believe them than somebody that halts and thinks about it,
Right.
right? So if somebody says, well, why do we have a moon? The moon controls the water. Hmm, that's a good answer. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense now. The
Yeah.
water does move and it changes, right? So by them answering in a logical form, although it might not be the reason it's doing it, they were able to misdirect them for what the moon is for. And it also puts them on the misinformation trail. How far could they go with misinformation and nobody second guessing it? I still don't understand how people believe the center of the earth is filled with lava. I mean, it's just mind blowing. How in the world, like, how they discovered this before they even had like x-rays? They could know what's in the center of the earth. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people believe it because they have an answer and they have drawings. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna believe a drawing over my imagination, right?
They have
So,
cross-section drawings, but here's the thing: they tell you this in school, like in science class. We if you have a textbook, I don't know if they use them anymore, but there's a whole chapter on the moon and the cycles on the moon and what it affects and blah 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 blah. And like you said, cross sections of the Earth's crust and what the layers do, and we have to memorize all that junk, right?
yeah.
So that's why we all believe what we're told.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, it would be interesting. I mean, that's how our education is here in America.
Yeah.
So I wonder if other countries are being taught the same thing. Like, are they put into this misinformation? Are they taught about the moon? Are they taught about the center of the earth? Like, what information is being switched throughout the countries? Because that's also part of the game zone, is what information can we give? How does it derive the personalities? How does it derive their function? How does like all of these small little pieces, even the misinformation about the moon, how does that change somebody's
Right.
opinion
Right.
about what the Earth is?
Yeah. Interesting.
Hmm.
So basically, the bottom line is this: the moon, the fake moon arc, is self-lighting. It's kind of failing because it's getting old. And also, like I said, it's time. We're seeing all this stuff happen in the outside world. It's
Mhm.
supposed to show us the corruption and the lies, right?
Yes.
It doesn't depend on the sun, the simulated crystal, at all for its illumination, right? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. In your opinion, does this fake moon, the arc, affect the tides like we're told?
No, it does not affect the tides.
Okay.
Magnetism and the internal structure of the Earth affect the tides.
Interesting. Yeah. So
Mhm.
see how we're taught all this disinformation our whole lives.
Yeah.
Of course, we're
I mean,
innocent
you gotta
kids.
think, so they tell you that it's gravity
Yeah.
that alters the water,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is if the moon is creating a gravitational pull, then why is the Earth bringing the moon in with its gravitational pull? So how does that relate? So the Earth's gravitational pull is a lot stronger than the moon's. That's why we're the planet, that's the moon. So how is it that the gravitational pull is strong enough to change the water across the planet? It doesn't make sense, right? Because that means that its gravitational pull has to be strong. And if it was strong enough to pull the water, it's going to be strong enough to pull itself into the Earth.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. What else would be helpful and interesting for us to know about the moon slash arc? Like we've talked a little bit about, there's people in there, they're basically prisoners
Mhm.
against their will. What else should we know about what's being done in there? Why do we have it? Like any of that kind of stuff.
Well, I think we covered most of that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's mostly used for hoarding and um, capturing people, using them as they see fit. And that spans from slaves and sex, slaves and work, um, anything that they see fit.
Right,
Breeders, some of them have become breeders for them.
right,
Um, there's a lot of nasty stuff that happens on there because you can't see it.
right.
No, and you can't go up there unless you're an astronaut, right? But not like the astronauts go up there. It's a secret organization that's able to access
Right,
this,
right.
and then whoever has ability to access it,
Okay.
meaning I don't want to say ETs, but the other species that go on to this.
And how
Uh,
do they get up there? Like, do they portal up there, or like how do they get up there?
yeah, some are able to portal. Some of them, are actually up there. Like that is a safe zone, so they are allowed to stay up there
Okay.
for a safe haven. Um, they don't have to leave.
Okay. Was this arc slash moon built, let's say, on the Earth? Like, was it built on the inside of the dome?
No, no, well, that's a good question. Part of it was built internally.
Okay.
Okay. And then a lot of the technology and stuff like that came from space. It
Okay.
came from different planets, and then they built it. Part of it was built in space, and part of it was built inside the sphere,
Okay. How they
inside the
get it
dome.
inside though? Once like
Oh, they can maneuver the pieces on the what is it on the dome, so they can change pieces out. So that's where you'll notice things that are flickering, they seem stuck. Those are the panels that are actually failing.
okay.
Now, they did think this through. They are able to change out the panels. They do have excess. The problem is they're running out of the excess, and many panels are failing at once, so they can't keep up with it. So
Okay.
that's why you're going to notice a more, what was it? My husband noticed one of the panels failing about 2 weeks ago.
Ooh.
And he's like, you won't believe this. The plane wasn't moving. And I haven't even seen that yet. I've been like looking. I really want to see a plane stay still. He saw it, and it was because the panel was stuck, it was frozen. So people are noticing it more. It's
Okay.
happening more. More panels are failing. And like I said, this is the time we're looking for. We want it to fail because then there's no way you can deny it when you physically see it.
Right.
A lot of people keep believing because they want to believe in this external source, but they're believing in the wrong one.
Right.
And this is where it failing is going to bring that sheepskin off or whatever you want to say, like, oh shoot, this is definitely not right.
Right.
And this was something that you definitely made because it's been here for a while, apparently. So
Yeah.
once we get this failing, you're gonna have a lot of sheep waking up.
Yeah. Okay. So two things I want to say is I saw, well, it was really so I was at the grocery store about 3 weeks ago, and
Mhm,
I happened to look up, and there was a very big, very low flying giant plane hovering over the tree line, really like creeping along. Well, that wasn't natural. And I knew that. So I was just watching it and just watching it creep along. Well, that to me was a UFO that was in disguise,
mhm,
but that, it wasn't a panel gone awry, let's call it. But so I just wanted to get that out because it's always about my stories, right? But jokingly, um, but I wanted to ask really about the dome itself then. So we have been told that the dome, the physical dome, was taken down or I don't know what you want to call it, destroyed, opened up, whatever, in 2017. And right now, in its place is an etheric or energetic dome,
mhm.
which traps the bad guys in here so we can get them. They can't escape. And more bad guys really can't easily get in. I mean, they do get in, but you know what I'm saying? It's not just open. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The reason I say that is there is an atmospheric dome, meaning there's one that's keeping the bad guys stuck. They are trapped. Now
Yeah.
it's outside of the dome, it's beyond it. So it does measure up. Um, so that way they can't just escape the planet, especially if they're hiding on the moon. You want it to be above it, so that way they're stuck. Um, Second, now talking about the dome, it's still here a little bit. And the reason I say that is there are bits that, you know, how I told you, like there are a lot of pieces that are just failing and they don't have enough resources
Right,
to keep changing them out.
right.
They only have so much in stock. So there are pieces that they have taken off that it still blends in. You can, it still looks natural, but there are holes now
Right,
because they can't keep up with the failure of it.
right.
So there are spaces where if somebody was able to find the edge of the dome, they
Yeah,
could figure out how to get out.
right.
Um, and we are kind of seeing some of that happening. You know, people are going to the ice. Um, oh my gosh.
The
The,
firmament, or the ice
yeah,
ring. Yeah,
yes, the big ice.
yeah. They're going to Antarctica and they're going through and they're seeing the cities and things on the other side now. We're seeing video of that.
Yeah,
And
that's where some big holes are.
yeah,
Now the reason being is because not too many people are out that way.
right,
So it's a spot where they can leave it open and not really be like, oh, people are going to notice this big hole. The
right,
problem is that people are experimenting. They're trying to see how far they can go. What's, you know, where does this cave take me? What is beyond this?
right,
Um, we're in the Game of Thrones with that, you know. Um, so it is a spot where they're able to get through, and that is going down to the base of it. Now, other areas, they're going to start up a little bit higher, so it wouldn't be as noticeable. But you could, if there was something flying by and it just kind of skipped out, it'd be like,
right,
interesting, there's a hole there.
right.
So there are places where they're saying, logically, we can avoid this and let's put it where it really belongs
Okay,
because they are in such a space of need and kind of chaotic. So this is a great time. Everything's happening.
right. So, like I said, then the hole was, we'll call it busted through in 2017, I think it was 2016, 2017, doesn't matter. And so that shifted things a lot. And now we have an energetic or etheric dome. You're
Mhm,
saying it's above the layer, if you will. It's a little bit out there even more. But that
mhm.
again is like kind of sealing things up while it's being cleaned up. So
Mhm.
that's a good way to describe it.
Yes.
All right. All right. Anything else we should know about anything related to the moon, what we're told about the moon, what's really happening, the dome?
I think we're good with that. I
Yeah,
mean, if there's more questions, I feel like we answered a lot about it.
right.
But yeah, if there's more questions, put them in the comments, because that will help us to figure out, you know, like this question that you had for today, that was a great question that I
Yeah,
never thought about
yeah,
before. So people have interesting ideas and concepts, so just
right,
ask and we will answer.
right. So yeah, put the questions in the comments. And we did a video, two videos, let's say about a year ago on the game zone. Okay,
Mhm.
so those are really helpful because they show how the dome has sealed us off, et cetera, et cetera. So that explains it a little bit more if you're interested. All right.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Deanna, for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.